Somebody once said or wrote, "Resolve to be tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant with the weak, because in your life you will have been all of these."
Rick, our question this morning is, what will you change? And our theme text is found in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding.
And we're looking at change. We're looking at, it's New Year's coming up in a couple of days here, and people sometimes make New Year's resolutions. At any rate, whether you do or you don't, whenever something restarts, we always think in terms of, well, what can we restart? And that's the idea behind the program this morning is, what is in our power to change? And Jonathan, there's really 4 things that we have in our power to change. What are they?
Our thoughts, our attitudes, our words, and our actions.
And there's a building process. It all starts with what goes on inside of your head, your thoughts. We talked about that in the first hour, and how I think the biggest question there is, what is your true north for your thoughts? Where do your thoughts gravitate back to all the time? And is it a good thing? Is it a thought that brings you up or tears you down? That leads to our attitudes. And again, the good question is, what is the true north of our personal attitude towards our life? Does it build us up or does it tear us down? We are now looking at our words. And words, well, think about words for a moment. If it weren't for words, we wouldn't be talking to you. Radio would not exist, okay? Talk radio, anyway, wouldn't exist. And one of the questions we mentioned in the first hour, what kinds of words are in our list of the 10 most used phrases of our lives? And again, I gave an example for me. When something goes wrong or not the way it should be, one of the things I say is, "Oh, for Pete's sake." And as I said in the first hour, I don't know who Pete is, what he's got to do with anything, but it's for his sake that I always say that. I don't know. It's a reaction. The question is, what kinds of things are the knee-jerk reactions with our words? Because sometimes they may not be very, very profitable and positive. Let's look at, again, one of the commandments back in Exodus 20 that really relates well to this.
Verse 7, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain."
And I think, Jonathan, this commandment fits so well under the subheading of what kinds of words are in our 10 most used phrases, because I have heard in many contexts, in many situations, people doing exactly what this commandment is telling them not to. And that's a knee-jerk reaction. I truly believe people don't even realize when they say such things. It just comes out. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, that is just a sad, it's kind of offensive to me, but it's a sad thing, even more than it's offensive, because it's like, you don't even have a clue as to what you're saying. And that just makes it breaks my heart. Let's take a look at a couple of scriptures that just help to put this word thing in context.
James 3, 8 through 17. "But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of God. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Doth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries? Either a vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh. Who is a wise man and endowed with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. From where envy and strife is, there is confusing and evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy."
And that scripture, Jonathan, was a mouthful. It talks about out of the same mouth proceeds blessing and cursing. And it says, "My brethren, these things ought not so to be." This should not be out of the same mouth. You should not have blessing and cursing coming at the same time. Fix it. I mean, that's really what James is saying here. He talks about at the end, where there's envying and strife, there is confusion and every evil work. But the wisdom from above he says, is pure and peaceable and gentle and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality, without hypocrisy. The key is our words, our tongue can really be a tool for good or a tool for evil. And it ought not to be doing both of those things at the same time. The same mouth ought not to be spewing out nastiness as well as good things. If you're going to spew something out, wash your mouth out with soap. So all that comes out of it are things that are good and upbuilding and positive and encouraging. You know, even when it comes to having to criticize, you can criticize and then you can criticize. There's a way to criticize in a manner that can actually be upbuilding. And the way to do that is to focus on whatever it is, the point that it needs to be addressed, without beating down the person, and saying something of a positive nature before the criticism, and then saying something of a positive nature after the criticism. When you do that, see, people are afraid, well, if I do that, they won't remember the criticism. Oh yeah, they will. But they're going to remember it, and it's not going to beat them down. It might actually encourage them. And there's so much we can do to make our words positive rather than negative, but we have to make the choice.
2 Timothy 2:15-19. Give diligence to present thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, handling aright the word of truth. But shun profane babblings, for they will proceed further in ungodliness, and their word will eat as doth gangrene, or in whom is Hermedes and Philetus. Men who concern the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection passed already, and overthrow the faith of some. Howbeit the firm foundation of God standeth, having his seal. The Lord knoweth them that are his. And let every one that nameth the name of the Lord depart from unrighteousness.
So, Jonathan, there's a correlation here between our words and a final effect. These individuals concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and they were overthrowing the faith of others by their words. Then it says, let everyone that names the name of the Lord depart from unrighteousness. If you're going to be naming the name of the Lord, if you're going to be following after that, you can't be living in unrighteousness. It doesn't fit together. So,